The awesome Adam Mockler is joining us right now on the program. Adam, it is good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Brian. Glad to be back.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, man. Boy, there's so much to get to with you in a short period of time. Let me start with this. We've been talking about the lies from the right that are claiming this shutdown happened because Democrats want free healthcare for illegals, where it's literally in the statute where that can't happen and it won't happen. What do you make of the lies being put forth by the right, making these false claims?
It's desperate narrative control. Right-wingers constantly want to drive attention by saying crazy things and then use that attention to control the narrative about quote-unquote illegal aliens wanting healthcare. But as you said, it doesn't work that way. It's by definition illegal. It genuinely does not work that way. Democrats are simply demanding an extension of Affordable Care Act subsidies, premium subsidies, and Donald Trump essentially wants to enact a Trump healthcare tax that raises the cost of healthcare for some of the most vulnerable Americans. So you see them out there posting these crazy AI videos. Donald Trump, in desperation, not only posted a video of Hakeem Jeffries that was AI and Chuck Schumer that was AI, but a few days ago he posted that MedBed AI video. You guys saw that? And
Yep.
Caroline Leavitt and JD Vance during their presser today spent like a quarter of the presser having to answer for Trump's AI videos that he doesn't clarify are AI. So it's insane that we're barreling towards a government shutdown and they're desperately trying to control the narrative. I think that we need strong leaders out there really hammering home the truth. Sometimes I'm disappointed by the Democrats.
Yeah, I am too, as at times, but I don't think we certainly can't blame them for this government shutdown right now. But I do agree with you. Sometimes I'm disappointed in the Democrats as well. What do you make? You mentioned this AI video, Adam. What do you make of JD Vance, Caroline Leavitt, Mike Johnson in response to it? Oh, it's funny. It's a joke. It's humor, which I find despicable because I don't think racism is funny in any way, shape, or form. What do you make of their response to it?
Obviously, the racism is despicable, but as I was saying on CNN, there's a larger problem here where Donald Trump has this plausible deniability where he can say something insane, then always put the clown nose back on and say, oh, I'm just joking. I'm not actually the president of the United States. When his quote unquote jokes are like tweeting at Pam Bondi saying, I want you to target this opponent. I want you to pull this show off the air, Brendan Carr. And then we see it happen. It doesn't seem like these are jokes, but it's annoying how his supporters endlessly hide behind these jokes. Meanwhile, if AOC made a joke and she like misspoke during it or something, this would be a 3-week news cycle where Democrats are stirring up violence. But then Donald Trump can on a daily basis say that Chicago needs to be invaded by the Department of War, but that's a quote unquote joke somehow. So just to bring it back, the fact that they go out there and they try to run defense for the president by saying it's a joke is expected. That's their job, is to run defense and spin. But it's just a disgusting indictment of where our politics are, that they're saying that he can just joke about everything.
Unfortunately, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's despicable. You know, I wanted to ask you about some of your CNN appearances, and I think you always do a great job. Let's start with Scott Jennings. I just think he's so smug. And it seems like these people on the right, they want to attack you because of your age when you just destroy them with facts. And Scott Jennings did that. Ben Ferguson did that to you. I'm wondering, do they even talk to you off the air? Do they shake your hand, and are they different off the air? Do they say anything to you when the segment is over? Or are they those same people and they treat you the same way off the air as on the air? Like, let's start with Scott Jennings, for example.
He's affable. I'd say he's an affable person. And you said you're debating Tim Pool in a few weeks. You'll find that when you walk in, everyone's affable, everyone's nice, but when you're debating, you don't really pull any punches. But yeah, the age thing, a lot of people in the audience, like the right wingers in the audience, think that I was trying to say in that CNN debate that because I'm 22, I can't be held accountable for anything, or that I'm trying to avoid accountability. But that's actually not the point I was making, obviously. It's that you can't hold me and Donald Trump at the same standard or nearly even similar standards, yet it seems like I'm held to a higher standard than the president. So I'm like, I'm not going to apologize for anything when Donald Trump is clearly doing this. But overall, all I'll say is that everybody's pretty affable behind the scenes.
That's good. That's actually good to know, because when I see Scott Jennings or Ben Ferguson with that smirk on their face and how condescending they are at times, it makes me believe that that's who they really are. So you're telling me when the cameras are off, they're actually quite friendly and cordial to you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Good to know that. What about Kevin O'Leary? I mean, you kept on bringing the economy up with him and how so many people are struggling. And all he kept doing was talking about the stock market. All he kept doing was talking about the market, and you exposed him for being the boob that he is. I mean, what was that interaction like for you, sitting right next to him and having that conversation?
That was my first time on, and it was pretty solid. I mean, he's also nice. He's somebody who, it's interesting. A few weeks later, I saw a video of him giving business advice, like a few years back when he was a bit younger. And he was like, the best time to be invested in your business and put all your time is when you're in your early 20s. And then he did this whole thing about being in your early 20s. And I was like, this is so weird. He's actually giving salient business advice. But a few weeks ago, he seemed to be completely ass backwards on tariffs. A lot of these people are just beholden to the talking points, but they are nice behind the scenes. I mean, you've been to the Trump rallies, and I understand that these people are like, you look around and you're like, this is brainwashing. But I'm sure you've also been to the Trump rallies and had experiences where you go to like buy a water and you're like, this is actually quite a sweet person right there. So it's this weird, of course, yeah, it's this weird dichotomy where like people are nice. They're usually a little bit brainwashed. Kevin O'Leary was also nice. I was surprised at how much he kept returning to the same talking points. I think that, you know, being in your early 20s and being sharp has its benefits, I guess.
Yeah, I think it has quite its benefits. That's why you're doing so well. I wanted to ask you, like so you're saying that they're cordial and they're nice off the air. Why do you think it's an act? Do you think like a guy like a Scott Jennings or a Ben Ferguson actually believe what they say, or do you think it's one of those things where they're just a talking point? Literally a walking and talking point for the Republican Party? How do you see them? Are they genuine with, do you think they actually believe what they say?
I think that it's really just like the Marco Rubio effect, where a lot of these center-right conservatives who for decades have had, you could argue rational positions, like you could disagree with them, but Marco Rubio at the end of the day, pro-NATO, understands that Russia's a bad guy, and oftentimes was just wacky on abortion, healthcare, and a number of other issues. You know what I mean? Like it's something that you could actually argue with. I'd say most of these people would rather be taking those positions, taking more normal positions, but that doesn't really get you in with the base nowadays. So they want to be in, and politics is at the end of the day for power. In order to gain power, you need to have a base, and there's a base to play to. It's the MAGA base. So I think that they're overall just playing to that.
I wanted to ask you, you've been on Newsmax before, and you debated this this young guy who is flying in these private jets, who some have said the new Charlie Kirk protege, for lack of a better term. He's taken a lot of flack, and like I said, you've debated him. I'm like, what do you make of him coming from an extremely wealthy family, flying these private jets and talking about middle America and people that live paycheck to paycheck? What do you make of him?
Yeah, I've been following this dude for a while. Here's what it is. He's had this lifelong dream of being like the next Charlie Kirk, but he just doesn't have the quote unquote juice. I don't think he has the debate ability. I beat him in a debate on Newsmax, I'd say, even though the moderators had to step in. He doesn't have the overall self-awareness to not post a photo in a private jet. And when Charlie Kirk died, I think he immediately saw it as an opportunity. Whether it's you want to view it cynically or just a young dude who didn't have self-awareness, he immediately viewed it as an opportunity to hop in Charlie Kirk's shoes. And I'm assuming they made connections with Turning Point USA. Turning Point said, okay, you've got a following. We can send you across from campus to campus to campus. And he didn't realize that him posting in sort of a gloaty way saying, look at this tour that I'm on, look how cool it is, was going to be his downfall, because he posted a video of himself in a private jet when Charlie Kirk, you know, at the end of the day, I've been saying this to a lot of people. Watching Brylan Hollyhan do this makes you realize Charlie Kirk did have self-awareness, and he had at least some sort of juice that Brylan Hollyhan just does not have. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk was right on anything, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, he at least had something. He had something that he was able to build.
I tend to agree with you on that. It seems as though in the last several days, he might be just going away, that Turning Point USA might be distancing themselves a little bit from him. Do you get that sense?
I'm sure they're going to if they're smart. The conservatives are rejecting him en masse. And honestly, that's incredibly brutal. He's had this vision of himself for 10 years, stepping into Charlie Kirk's shoes. He gets the opportunity and he squanders it. It's kind of brutal. I saw some tweet that was like, can this kid please just return to being some low-level staffer who sends out snarky tweets? He shouldn't be the face of the movement. And I was like, yeah, true.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. You know, moving forward now, Adam, where we're at with this government shutdown, how long do you think this government shutdown will last? And what do you think will be the next excuse from Republicans? Because the excuse that they're giving out that Democrats did this and that they want to give free health care to all these illegal aliens, that's obviously a lie. What do you think will be the next excuse?
As far as the length, it's really hard to tell. I don't want to throw out predictions and then be entirely wrong. I mean, government shutdowns can end swiftly with a resolution if the Democrats come to the table and Chuck Schumer ends up doing something. Or, I mean, this could prolong if the Republicans really want to take advantage of it and if Russell Vought continues to enact his plan to fire these workers, which doesn't even take that much time, but it could go either way. I'm assuming Trump deep down wants to fix it because he doesn't want this to look bad. But Republicans will jump from excuse to excuse and they'll use their culture war issues. So, I mean, honestly, I don't see them pivoting off of illegal immigration. When the next excuse comes, I'm sure it'll be targeting some sort of vulnerable group that they've been targeting to try to convince whoever's listening that it's not their fault, despite them bragging they had a mandate. They said over the past 10 months that they had a mandate over and over and over. We have a mandate from the people, yet they can't use that mandate to fund the government.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. If you're just joining us, Adam Mockler from MeidasTouch, he's everywhere. You've seen him on Cuomo, CNN, Newsmax, and I did a show with him on the Piers Morgan show. So speaking of Charlie Kirk, Adam, I did the Piers Morgan show last week, and I was debating Riley Gaines and Jillian Michaels. And Riley Gaines says elected Democrat officials are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I called her a liar. She couldn't name one Democrat that actually is celebrating the death. But don't you find that she's not the only one? There's a lot of people on the right that are claiming Democrats and elected officials are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I can't think of one. Can you?
No, there's none. I even asked Grok this, and because some conservative was like, prove it. So I was like, Grok, name one. And Grok said, there are none. And the conservative said, don't use a mainstream Democrat source like Reuters. Use a left-wing source or right-wing source. So Grok then only used Fox News and like Newsmax, and it still said no Democratic politicians or mainstream Democrats celebrated it. Even the edgy people like Destiny weren't celebrating. They were trying to make a broader point about rhetoric. But okay, so I something that bothers me and that we need to find a fix for is I don't know how we exist in this political environment when Donald Trump is constantly ratcheting up the tension. And we are constantly somehow supposed to take accountability because Donald Trump, over the past week, he's posted AI videos of the other side, AI videos of med beds. Last month, he posted an AI image of Chicago being invaded. This dude is constantly saying the most insane stuff about Paul Pelosi, about Democrats being evil. And somehow, just because of these high-profile shootings, the assassination attempt number 1, assassination attempt number 2, doesn't matter even what the political leaning of the shooters were. Most Americans simply see it as left-wing shoots Trump. And then Charlie Kirk gets shot. Doesn't matter. They just see it as left-wing shoots Charlie Kirk, even if this kid had no coherent ideology. So most Americans currently think violence is coming from the left when Donald Trump is the one who continues to ratchet this up. And this was actually like the CNN interaction I had with Scott Jennings. I proved that in real time that they hold us to different standards. But we just have to continue to hammer home these Trump points that people are desensitized to, that he's tweeting this and this and this. I have a conservative friend who just 2 days ago I saw him and was like, can you believe Trump tweeted that about Chicago? Like, you don't defend that, right? And he was like, I've never seen that tweet. I didn't even know that happened. So I just don't know how these high profile cases can only be seen on one side.
Yeah. And as you said to Scott Jennings, he held you to a higher account than he does the president of the United States. And as you said, wait a second, I'm a 22-year-old YouTuber. Yeah, you have a huge platform because you're very good at what you do. But it's just so strange where they care more about what Jimmy Kimmel says than the president of the United States. And it's just very odd and very strange why they do that, Adam.
I'm also more responsible with my platform than Trump is with his. So if you do want to hold us to the same standard, I win 10 out of 10 times because I didn't post an AI video of political opposition this week. I didn't post an AI video of a fake medical invention this week. I didn't post fake AI images without caveating that as the president of the United States. I'm very responsible with the way I do stuff. Even Jesse Waters over at Fox News. This dude said, like, he declares war on Democrats. Trump says he declares war on Democratic cities. They use this crazy rhetoric, and then AOC, like, sneezes on the House floor, and apparently that's World War III.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I have to ask, when's the next time we're going to see you on Abby Phillips? What's next up on your schedule? Because you're all over the place.
Not sure. I'm hoping that they invite me back. I really do. I'm super grateful for their team for number one, taking the chance on me in the first place. There was no reason they had to have a 22-year-old on debate Kevin O'Leary, but they decided to have me on to take a chance. And then they invited me back multiple times and gave me the floor to speak about algorithms and to say things and give my perspective as a young dude who a lot of young men are lost right now. So, I mean, I really am grateful for them in the first place. Don't know when I hop back on, but I'm always excited for it. I am hopefully doing some work with Jubilee soon. We're starting our own debate show in Chicago. I'm doing some work with I did a debate with the Daily Wire called Bar Fight in Nashville. We were in Nashville on the Broadway Strip. You ever been there?
I've never been there. No, I've heard about it.
It's pretty wild. And we did this thing where there was 50 MAGA supporters in the crowd, all, yelling at me, and I had to debate them back. But I'm just waiting on a release date from the Daily Wire. They're going through it because of Charlie Kirk, which I understand.
That's pretty awesome. And I've said this a million times about you, and I've said this, Democrats in general need more younger people that have voices like you. That's one of the reasons of many why Donald Trump won, because he got the younger vote. We need more people like you out there. And I'm so glad that these national networks are getting you on their shows because we need more of it, quite frankly. I'm sure you would agree, the Beasleys of the world, people like you and others. We need more people like you out there speaking out.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. Yeah. And thank you for having me on this show as well. I think younger people need to have a voice, especially when we need new cats in the space. It's hard to watch it's not even about age, honestly. When I say new cats, it could be like a Bernie Sanders who's progressive or a Zoran who's young, but it could be any of these people who are even in their 50s, 60s. We just need like new, fresh voices. And it is nice to have representation that has unique perspectives. Especially on the Democratic side. We need some sort of shakeup that's akin to what happened when Trump shook up the GOP. And I know that's a controversial remark, but we obviously clearly need a shakeup.
Yeah. Oh, no question. Please tell your new friend Scott Jennings I said hello next time you're on a CNN panel. Adam, I love what you do. You do a great job, MeidasTouch, and there's a reason why you have an enormous following. I cannot wait to be on a panel with you again soon. Hopefully Pierce Morgan again down the road because that was fun destroying Jack the Sobiak.